Now on Fox 13 News, it was a landmark ruling when it came down in 1973, and today, nearly 50 years later, Roe versus Wade has been overturned.
And with that momentous decision, countless questions are flooding into the minds of many. We are breaking it all down right now on Fox 13 News at 4.
This decision must not stand! This decision must not stand! Legal abortion on demand! Legal abortion on demand!
The Constitution does not confer a right to abortion!
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away the constitutional right from the American people.
It's a day that many have dreaded and many others have prayed for. Some are calling it a move to protect the unborn. Others are pointing to the principles of privacy and autonomy. Some are cheering, some are weeping, some are celebrating a path forward, and others are afraid of what their future holds in America. Thanks for joining us for the News at 4. I'm Jamie Tompkins.
And I'm Hannah Kim. The Supreme Court's decision today says, in part, the Constitution doesn't cover the right to an abortion. Now, it's up to state lawmakers to make this decision for their own states. 22 of them, mostly in the South and Midwest, already have total or near total bans on abortion. All of those bans to this point have been mostly blocked by Roe versus Wade, with the exception of Texas and Oklahoma. Now, with Roe gone, many more states are expected to ban abortions moving forward.
13 states have so-called trigger laws banning abortion as soon as possible after the ruling. The states on your screen in deep blue do not have a ban on abortion, and many have protections in place to ensure access. Washington is one of those states. Matt Markovich starts off our team coverage tonight. He's got a breakdown of what the ruling means, both nationally and locally, too, Matt.
A very important ruling indeed, but we're going to take a look at who voted which way. This is the 5-4 split with the Supreme Court justices. Six conservatives, 5 of them went to overturn Roe v. Wade. Justice Roberts, who's the Chief Justice, he's the lone conservative who did not go that route, including the 3 justices who were appointed to the during the Trump administration. They all voted for the overturning. Now, the conservative majority of justices have overruled the 1973 decision, Roe v. Wade, with legalized abortions for the last 50 years. It ended federal constitutional protections for abortion, and it gave the states the power to regulate abortion. But looking beyond the decision, it laid the foundation for the court to rule on privacy rights, including same-sex marriages. Here are the 16 states that currently protect a woman's right to abortion, and that includes Washington State. What does that mean for women here in our state? Well, the ruling has no effect on Washington's law protecting abortions, which was passed in 1970 before Roe v. Wade. All women have the right to choose in this state, and that includes women who come to the state to seek an abortion.
Washingtonians still have access to a safe and legal abortion based on Washington state law, and we'll do everything we can in our power to make sure that providers here and women who seek an abortion here are protected from any civil or criminal liability from another state.
The Attorney General has assembled a team of 20 people in his office to study legal options to protect women who cross state lines. For example, Idaho has what's known as a trigger law, which automatically bans abortions 30 days from any decision overturning Roe v. Wade, and that was today.
They don't have jurisdiction to criminalize someone or to penalize someone from a civil standpoint here in Washington state.
But politics is unavoidable in such a controversial debate. Democratic Congresswoman Kim Schrier warns the state could lose its abortion protections.
And we have already heard from Mitch McConnell that potentially on the agenda, should Republicans take control of the House and the Senate, would be to impose a national ban, which would essentially do away with any protections we have in Washington state.
Look, I believe it does belong in the state.
In an interview done before the ruling, the prospective Republican candidate for senator, Tiffany Smiley, who is pro-life, said she'd advocate for women in her own way.
Especially as a woman, as a mom, I understand this, and I believe, women that have access to treatment, resources, care, anything they would need in that time of need will make the best decision.
Her opponent, incumbent Democrat Patty Murray, says the real fight is now on to prevent a federal ban from happening.
It is a very real possibility, and we have to make sure we are electing people who will enshrine Roe in law and not allow that to happen.
Coming up in the half hour, we'll hear more about the tentacles this ruling can have into laws that protect your privacy and the governors of Washington, Oregon, and California with help for women who seek abortions in their states. Back to you.
Matt, thank you. We're hearing from doctors who say this ruling could have a negative impact on an already stressed healthcare system here in our state.
And for that part of our coverage, let's go to Fox 13 News reporter Frankie Thompson. So, Frankie, you talked to doctors today. What did they have to say?
Well, first, Hannah, UW Medicine is reaffirming its support for abortion care, saying it's an important part of reproductive health care services. But doctors tell me this ruling could significantly limit services for existing patients and those who may travel here for care. With the nation's constitutional protections for abortion ending in some states, doctors with UW Medicine say this will disproportionately affect women, people of color, and those who can't travel for medical care.
Health for women and pregnant people is so important that we cannot ignore or deny it. And really, access to adequate health, which includes abortion care, is a human right that we are now being denied.
Doctors say they worry the ruling to overturn Roe versus Wade will be life-threatening.
Pregnant people are the ones who are going to bear these consequences. And we are going to see increased maternal morbidity and mortality.
Doctors say that risk of maternal morbidity and mortality is even greater for women experiencing ectopic pregnancies.
If a pregnancy outside the uterus continues to grow, it can really essentially cause death. It's the number one reason why people of reproductive age, women of reproductive age, die, is due to ectopic pregnancy. So it is concerning that people are not going to get care in a timely manner.
Abortion care remains legal in Washington, but now that other states can ban it, doctors say they fear an influx of people will come here to receive care, adding more stress to an already strained healthcare system.
The Guttmacher Institute has estimated that the number of patients who will come to our state will increase by almost 400%. So providers in the state are going to have to care for these patients, and it's going to affect patients who are already in this state, that they may not be able to get access to abortion services with such a huge influx.
The concern is that influx could be followed by more restrictions in the healthcare system.
There's so much concern and discussion about what we can even legally do for patients coming from out of state. It just creates a whole mess of regulations and complications for people doing abortions and primarily for people who are needing abortions.
The Supreme Court's ruling does not affect Plan B or other forms of contraception. However, health experts tell me they are afraid that could be next on the docket for further restrictions. Reporting in Bellingham, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
Thank you, Frankie. So as we've already seen, there's very mixed reaction to today's decision in D.C. Many here in our area are finding themselves on either side of this issue. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman joins us live from the federal building where a demonstration is planned following this controversial Supreme Court ruling.
Alejandro, you spent the day speaking with those who are pro-choice and pro-life. How are they responding to this decision?
Jamie, Hannah, I can tell you that today, well, for some, it was a day that they've been anxiously awaiting for years, if not decades. But for others, today is a day of grief, mourning, fear, uncertainty. What we can tell you is that Washington is and will remain a safe haven state, meaning that Washingtonians here or people traveling from out of state can come to Washington and get an abortion and be fully protected.
I feel sad. And I feel afraid to really be in a place in a country that has taken away equal protection under the law for most of the country.
Kia Guarino is a woman first. Today's decision hits close to home. As an activist, reproductive justice is something she says she's been called to follow.
It talked about abortion not being part of our nation's history when that isn't true. It's a very selective interpretation.
The 5-4 decision, she says, is forcing pregnant individuals to travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles to get access to health care, abortions.
It means that our maternal mortality rate will go up. significantly.
A fear several organizations and clinics, including Cedar River and Planned Parenthood and the Northwest Abortion Access Fund, say is only one of the many consequences of the ruling. While they've been preparing for this for years, pro-choice leaders say their plans have been expedited.
We have already been seeing patients from out of state at an increasing number. Even dating back to the Texas SB 8 decision.
ACLU says this is a much bigger problem than what they're faced with, as they anticipate a dramatic increase in patients traveling to Washington to seek care.
That means we may not have enough resources and abortion providers who can actually provide the care we need. And it puts a huge strain on the clinics.
While the next few weeks and months will be telling, the Northwest Abortion Access Fund says this is a regional issue. Currently, 54% of their clients live in Idaho, and 25% of those usually have to travel outside of Idaho to get an abortion.
For us, today is a day of great grief for ourselves, for our clients.
They say funding is and will continue to be an issue for millions seeking abortions. While Washington leaders are already gearing up for a legal battle to protect clinics, providers, and patients, some agree with today's verdict.
People from different states will fly to the state that abortion is illegal, whatnot. I'm a little torn apart about that.
Why?
Because I was going to abort my child out of fear.
Elizabeth Kim, Miss Washington Universe Transcontinental 2022, says her son is now 11 years old. She carried her pregnancy to term after seeing her unborn baby in her womb. She supports the higher court's decision.
The young citizens who doesn't have a voice yet, doesn't have a even chance to leave. This is completely not right.
While some are pushing for education and adoption to help those expecting individuals, others say that they're going to stand up for bodily autonomy. Now, the one thing both sides can agree on is that you can make your voice heard at the polls come November.